What's going on, everybody? Thanks a lot for joining me today. It's Thursday. That means we are going through my movie collection to make an art piece. Today, I'm kind of feeling maybe like a Bauhaus style, so hopefully, whatever the randomizer picks, it'll be good for what I'm doing. Before I get started, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. All right, let's get started. All right, so here I am on the online random picker, and I've got all of my movies copied onto my clipboard, so let's go ahead and paste. And now let's pick a random item from this list, and hopefully we get a good one today. Schindler's List. All right. Well, I guess Bauhaus can work for Schindler's List. I will. Let's see here. Actually, you know what? I think the fact that it is. Okay, I think I'm going to do a Bauhaus style, but what we're going to do is let me go to Pinterest real quick and let's take a look at a few things. I want to get just a couple of basic ideas for like a layout. So let's take a look at what we've got for Bauhaus. Okay. And I think what I'm going to do is, since Schindler's List is in black and white, I think what I'll do is I'll do like a grayscale type of poster, and then maybe not use yellow and blue and only use the red, specifically for the girl in red portion. And let's see here. As far as a layout goes, and of course I know I'm breaking the rule when it comes to Bauhaus by not using yellow and blue, but it's fine. What we're going to be looking at today is more so the principles of Bauhaus design rather than following all of the rules of Bauhaus design. So I kind of like the minimalism of this one right here. So I'm thinking that, let's see here. I like this one. This one's nice. Right here. So I think what I'll do is, I'll go ahead and copy this image, and let's go ahead and go into Illustrator. And typically, that the sizing system for Bauhaus posters is a little bit different from what we do here in the States, but I think the closest that I typically see would be like 18 by 24 inches or something like that. So let me go ahead and open up, let's see, my Swiss grid. And this is my go-to reference for whether or not I'm doing Swiss or Bauhaus design. But it's really more so just to put a grid down. It's not necessarily say that this is only for Swiss design. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that in place there. And let's go ahead and just kind of explore a few things. What I'd like to do is, and I do like this red right here. So I'm going to just pick up on this black right here. And then instead of this tan or this beige color, I'm going to go in and just completely desaturate it. And maybe do something like 85%. I do like the lighter shade of it. So I think that right there. And I do like this red a lot. So we'll go ahead and do that color palette right there. So the black, white, and red, because the movie itself is in black and white. And then there's that one scene, if you've seen it, it came out in 1993. So if you haven't seen it, then what are you doing? But that one scene where the little girl is walking around, and she's wearing red, and that's the only part of the movie itself that's actually in color. So I think what I'll do is I'll actually kind of reflect that in the poster itself. So the whole movie itself is just very, it's very drab, which it definitely needs to be for the subject matter. So I think what I'll do is I'll actually do a black background, and then we'll introduce some of the elements, and we'll use like some of the lighter shades and everything to help balance that dark background, and then use just a minimal amount of red. All right, so what I like to do whenever I'm putting these together is first get all of my type out. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm always very careful about how I'm spelling this whenever I type it. Apparently I missed the S there. So, okay. And as far as Bauhaus typography goes, you want to, a go-to here, is Bahamas right here. And I don't think I've actually used that one yet. So let's go ahead and use it. So Schindler's List right here. I do like the 45-degree angle turn right there, but I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to actually do that yet. So let's go ahead and hide our guides. And let's see, Schindler's List. Obviously, Liam Neeson is in the movie. I'd like to do these as separate pieces. Ray Fiennes, and I'll go ahead and I will go ahead before I really move any further with the names, is I'll definitely make sure that I'm spelling them correctly. All right. And again, if you've never seen this movie, then you need to go watch this movie. It's just phenomenal. All right. Liam Neeson, I'm totally fine with, but with Ray Fiennes, I'm always second guessing myself on the spelling. Okay, and then Steven Spielberg. Just kind of drop. Oops. I'll just kind of drop his name right in here, and Bauhaus. So let's go mostly lowercase. And that's not a really hard and fast rule. Like if you see right here in this one, you've got all caps, and then you've got complete lowercase right here. So you can definitely do a combination of the two of them. One thing that I would say, and this isn't necessarily to say that you'll never see this in a Bauhaus poster, but I would say to avoid doing like title case or sentence case, something like that. Basically pick all lowercase or all caps. Just do one or the other. Okay. And then let me see. So I'm thinking, let's see, how about some maybe just some kind of circular elements going on here. Let me see here. Let's see. I will put this right here. So we'll do like a Steven Spielberg film right here. So like, when you're putting stuff together like this, you want to make sure, like, especially if it's a movie poster, obviously the title, the main cast members, and I would say actually, we could even add Ben Kingsley in there because he's definitely a pretty prominent role in the movie. And I think also just we'll add in Caroline Goodall as well, so we get a good balance there. We'll go through and make those lowercase as well. Okay. All right. So I do like the outline right there, like just doing a stroke. The biggest thing when it comes to putting these posters together is, everything is all about placement. So you want to make sure that, all your elements are being placed within the grid, and make sure that if you go outside the grid that you're being very intentional about it. When it comes to grids, they are your friend. So keep that, always keep that in mind. What if we did like a flush? No, that's not really speaking to me. Let's move these over here. So, as I said before, we're just kind of breaking some rules when it comes to making a Bauhaus poster. But, there's really nothing wrong with breaking a few rules every now and then when it comes to design. So what if we did something like this? We'll just bring in some pure mathematics here. Okay, and then if we did something like this where it just kind of flips up here, so we're just going to kind of go like, left and then upper right, and then we're just going to divide everything by 2, so everything just goes in half. And there's not really any particular intentionality going on here. It was just an idea that I had and thought that it might look cool. And we'll do the same thing here and get our anchor point cemented here. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And we'll just kind of keep following that same pattern and maybe go this way to make it a little bit more visually interesting. And this is really just to kind of get some of those, like just kind of get some of those basic shapes going on, and then we'll just follow it up here all the way up to the top, just to get like a nice pattern going on. And then we'll do it one more time. And I do want to keep that red circle there, but I think I might actually change it to, well, you know what? What if we did this? Putting these things together, you know, just keep in mind every idea as you're putting things together is a good idea. I like that. I like how that line is going in between the E and the R. That's pretty cool. We definitely need to bring up the leading right here. So I actually like the tightness of that right there. And then we will, let's see, let's check this out. Oh, that's even cooler. I actually do like how, you know, because it's doing that. So let's go in and let's adjust our kerning right here, especially since we're using such a, you know, a standardized font. You know, we're using the Bauhaus font here. We need to make sure that we do a really good job with the actual kerning pieces. You know, you don't want to make it look like you just typed it out and, you know, you just left it to die. Okay. We'll just kind of bring this in right here. And then for the list part, I'm not a big fan of how that I is sitting. So I think I'll push it out to where it's lined up with the R. Still a little bit too far for me for in between the, yeah, or we could do this. Okay. Yeah, that's not too terrible. Okay. That's the goal, right? Whenever you're putting something together, is to make it not look too terrible. All right, so we'll move this down to here. I'm gonna align this with this grid, just visually. You know, as far as the stroke goes, this is aligned to the outside, so I'm not really too worried about math when it comes to this. I'm just making sure that it is lined up exactly where it needs to be in a visual sense. All right, so if we did, all right, what weight do we have here? We've got 1 point. What if we did 2 and brought this down to 2 as well? Okay, so I do like the layout of everything there. That's nice. I want to see maybe about doing that. So I think we'll just make all of our strokes the same weight. It's looking good. And then bring this down here, do like a copy. And we'll sample this color right here, and then maybe multiply it by 2. And then we'll bring it up -2 inches. It looks good. Although I think I'll probably bring it down to maybe like right there. Okay, and then for the actors' names, let's make them nice and small so we can balance out the title of the movie, and we'll put them up here. And then of course we'll go in and kern all of these letters here. So I will go ahead and speed up this portion of the video since I've got multiple lines of text to kern. All right, so we're looking good there. Now all we need to do is make sure that we get all the spacing between these nice and even. So let's, and I think I'm gonna have to do this optically. So we'll just kind of bring this up here. I do want these to be all lined up on the Oops, there we go. I'm trying to go vertical, not horizontal. There we go. So we'll do 1/4 inch, and it's basically from top of where the ascenders are right there. Let's go all the way. It's looking good there. We'll just kind of bring it over. Definitely want to make sure that we get it. That's pretty cool how that R is going into that B. Isn't that cool? All right, so 0 there, and then, oh, this is not on its own line, but it's supposed to be. There we go. So now, doing that. And I actually forgot you can align that that way now. I completely forgot about that. So many years without being able to do that. Okay, we've got a few spacing issues going on here. So I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of do this right here. Drawing boxes is always a really good method of making sure that everything is exactly as you want it to be. And this is, it is mathematically. However, sometimes you have to go through and align things optically. So we're going to have to do that here. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get kind of an idea of the spacing right here. And this doesn't have to be exact, but this is just to kind of get an idea of where things need to come up to make sure that it's optically looking good. So we'll do the same thing there. And once we take that box away, you'll see how it's definitely looking a lot better. Like, we're not seeing any, what was it they used to call it? Rivers? I think they called it rivers in design school. It's something that I haven't heard in a long time. It's like rivers. I think that's what they called it. Like, what was it? Creeks and rivers or something like that. Like where, where there were such large openings between the text that, that rivers could flow through them. It's been forever since I've heard anyone say that. So, but I think that's what they called it. All right, so that's good right there. Nice and small text to kind of counterweight the main Schindler's List right here. Now that I'm looking at this down here, I'd like to perhaps add a second circle, maybe aligned to the bottom right. And then just kind of bring this here, bring this over here visually. Oh, that's nice. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. And then where it says a Steven Spielberg film, we will definitely balance it out by doing the same size right down here, but we'll do it here in the bottom right. And we definitely have a space there to work with. In the top left still, so I think that I'll put the release date. All right, so let me make sure that we have, all right, so this is 30.75. I don't know how that happened. Maybe I divided it by 4. Is that what happened? Huh, I don't know. All right, well, I think what I'll do is I'll just increase it to 32. And it shouldn't change the dynamic too much. Okay, I think we're okay. I'm going to bring up Carolyn just a little bit. All right, there we go. And then we'll do the same thing here. We'll just grab that same size, and of course we'll flush it to the right. And then as far as the leading goes, I'm actually going to go in there and let's bring this up to the front. I think what I'll do is I will put them on 3 separate lines and do what we did earlier. And just do this so that it's easy to copy over that color. Okay, we get rid of this one here. And then now let's go down here to the bottom and then start aligning this text where it needs to go. All right, so film down here. And we'll bring Spielberg right there. Although we're gonna, oh, that's right. I can align to the glyph now. I keep forgetting about that. It's funny that I keep forgetting about it because I use that feature all the time, but whenever I'm recording a video, for some reason, I just can't remember. All right, so for the A up there at the top, we don't have any kerning at all to do. So for Spielberg's name, I'm gonna go ahead and start kerning his name, and then I'll move on down to film. So I'll speed this portion up too. All right, looking good. And one of the things that I meant to say earlier after I finished kerning the last block of text was I think this is the first time that I've really worked this closely with the font of Bahamas, and I started noticing a few inconsistencies or errors in here, particularly the lowercase e. You know, so if you kind of look at this on the left side right here, there's definitely some jankiness going on there, and I think that it could be possible that the version of the font that I have, it might not be the official version. I'm not sure. I don't know if it came with this computer or if I downloaded it from somewhere, but I just don't think that it's it could be possible that there's something wrong with this particular font. All right, so let's go in here. The last thing I want to do is grab the release date. So let's do that. Release date February 4th, 1994. And I know that, let's see. I'll do it in the format that you typically see Bauhaus posters, which is day, month, and then year. All right, so let's go in and check out the kerning on this. And you know what? I think that I might add a space. Yeah, that's looking cool. All right. And then what I'd like to do is, even though we have these red blocks right here, I'd like to just kind of, maybe in a couple of the sections, just kind of highlight that red, just maybe a little randomly. That's looking cool. I really like the visual. I like the negative space in this 9 right next to that 4. I think that's really cool looking. Let's see. Let's take a look at our reference. Of course, everything there is on a rotation. So I think but that's not what I'm doing with this one. So we're not gonna do that. I like the red right there in the apostrophe. And I think that is probably enough in terms of like sampling the red areas. But one thing that I was just thinking about is I wonder what it would look like if we only left those red areas. Let me unlock this so I can drag this over as well, the background. I was wondering what it would look like if we left the red areas to those very minimalist areas and then did something like a dark gray or something like that. That's looking pretty cool. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. So this is basically just like an alternate version of what we put together. I wonder if this would look better if we did that color and then brought the Schindler's List forward. Okay, that's actually looking pretty cool too. So, all right, between the two, I think that I would probably, like me personally, as far as the colors are balancing, I do prefer the one with the red. So I like the one on the left side, but if you like the one on the right side, more power to you. All right, so I think what I'll do here is I'll grab all of this and we'll paste it into Photoshop. And I just want to apply a few minimal like paper effects. So let's go ahead and bring this up to 18 by 24. I'm not going to worry about bleeds because I don't think I'm actually going to get this printed out, but just want to bring it up to full resolution anyway, just to make sure that, you know, just in case anything ever happens. All right, so let's go into our documents, design resources. I've got a lot of like aged paper in here. So, but there's one particular one that I'm looking for, and let's see if I can find it. I should have looked for it ahead of time. I should have been more prepared, right? All right, let's see. Aged paper. It might be in here. There's one in particular that I'm looking for. I think this is it. Yeah, that's it. So just kind of bring a little bit of that beige, that beiginess to it, and beiginess. Is that a word? I think I just made up a word, but if not, then I'm not taking credit for it. All right. you know, which will contribute a little bit to the Bauhaus look. So let's go ahead and use some blending modes, and I do like that. That's very cool. The multiply one, that might be the one that I end up going with. Overlay is looking pretty cool, although it is brightening it up a little bit too much for what I'm looking for. That's nice. Of course, it's inverting it, so we would just go in and invert those colors. Exclude. Oh, I do like exclusion. That's looking really cool right there. Let's take a look at hue and saturation, and let's just bring down our saturation to avoid that blue that's going on there. I don't really want to change the hue too much. Oh, that's right. Because we're in a blending mode of exclusion, it's actually not going to affect any of those colors. Let's see. Let's go into curves and bring this to here to make sure that we're only affecting this layer right here. I just want to kind of bring up a little bit more of that contrast. Although I'm thinking that with less contrast, it's looking even better, but not too much. So let's get it about to probably about here. Okay, so there we go. So there is our Schindler's List. Here's full screen. Here's our Schindler's List Bauhaus design. We did break the rules a little bit when it came to colors, but I just wanted to really illustrate the the black, white, and the red for the movie itself. So yeah, so this was fun to make, and I hope you learned something as I was putting this together. Hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks a lot for watching. All right, well, that's one movie down and 500 more to go. If you like this video, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.